Right, story time. Now, this is a little backstory basically to our worst point and our lowest point as a company. And this isn't a pity story. This is more about just letting other people know, if you're not in great situations at the moment, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end of it. And I also don't want to think, we've always had it really swimming. Like, you see on socials, as always, it's all going really well. We've had a rough time of it as well. So, you just want to be a bit honest about that, and I want to share that point as well. So roll it back to 2019. We'd been going on a big job, which I've spoken about before, for about 6 months. And it was not going that great. We'd been lured in by a builder who I thought I knew, let us down effectively. We'd sort of underquoted this job massively, but we were then stuck in it. And it was massively causing us financial problems at this particular time, because we were not quite losing money, but it was certainly not gaining us much money. But the demands were so high, we had to be on site. So it was a real catch-22, and it was causing us a lot of problems. Just coming up to Christmas 2019, my dad was diagnosed with a terminal illness, which sort of obviously did not help that situation. And within 6 weeks, sadly, he passed away. So just into the new year. And that was a whirlwind 6 weeks as well, of which sadly the world did not stop turning. The jobs were going, we had so much to do still, we were being demanded to be on site, etc., to get this job done, and it really caused a lot of grief. And then sadly, about 2-3 weeks after my dad's funeral, the first COVID lockdown kicked in as well, just to add the real dramas to it. So not only were we not making any money, we then couldn't earn any money either. The only job we were allowed on was this job, because it was big and we could work in little groups, but they basically needed us to be on site, so we had to work separated from everyone else. But obviously we weren't really earning any money, and I couldn't earn any money on any other jobs because most of our work is domestic, so it was causing grand scale problems. I ended up putting in some inheritance money that I had personally, just to get into the business, to keep some of my team paid, and give myself a little something just to keep this job and us going. And I mean, we were dangerously close to closing down, and I mean, it was wafer thin. Like, it was a seriously stressful time given everything that was going on. So we were probably one job away from officially closing, I think, at that point. Thankfully, we had one landscape garden that when they opened things back up again, we could get back to and get back on it again. So we sort of did outside work, and then sort of got out of that, finally finished this large scale job in the June of that year, once the lockdown had sort of drifted away, and we managed to get back up again. But yes, I mean, that particular sort of 6 months to a year was horrendous. And I mean, like I said, we were so close to closing as a company. So that was the real low point for me personally as well, for many reasons. So managing to come out of that, and it did take an awful long time, we somehow managed to slowly wind our way back into things and start making a little bit of money here and there again. But it took so long to get back over the deficit that we were in. It was a really slow process, and obviously we're almost 6 years down the line from that now, and we are doing much better, and we really have recovered well. Obviously personal things still don't change. It's the reason, we do a lot of support for St. Raph's and things like that. That sticks with us, but I've tried to use that as a positive and try and something that we can actually help with now, as part of that story. But yeah, so really, like I said, it's not a pity post. This is mostly just about, I want to give an honest feedback, as we do, as to what we've been through as a company, and what I've been through with that side of things. And it was not all gone really well. It's not all, like I said, social media glamour. At a particular time, probably before I started the socials, it was really not going well. So yeah, it's not always, even if you're at low points, there is always a way. It's not always the end, basically. You can always build your way out of it. There are ways out of it. And yeah, it's just hopefully a little positive, or something that people might want to hear. But yeah, again, from us, just an honest side of things. So hopefully that helps someone.